Little position breakdown for the tight ends, right? Let's figure it all out, guys. We were doing our off-season position group by position group kind of evaluation and conversation. It's good to have you on board. Thanks so much for joining us as always. Tom, we're going to get to a poll question, I'm told. I get excited when we get poll questions in
Well,
here.
I don't know that you'd be excited about a poll question about the tight end position at Florida State until this year. So I've been doing some of these voiceover videos for the different positions, but I thought, man, just breaking down the three top guys in this room doesn't seem right without talking to you because, I think tight end has been your number one lament. It's either that or linebacker over the last 2 or 3 seasons. And
Correct.
This one certainly has been fixed.
Yeah, they've done a good job here. There's no getting around that. And I think it's an exciting position group to talk about because it changes who you are and what's possible. I really think that we looked at this room and it was filled with mediocrity to poor play. They didn't have a depth of talent whatsoever. They had to play some guys that, frankly, if we're judging Florida State standards of yesteryear, was just wildly unacceptable. Now, look, this has not been tight end U. This is not a place that has churned out a bunch of pro tight ends. I know of all of the tight ends that have ever made it to the league because we've had precious few that have made an impact in the league. And I think that's got to change just because partly Mike Norvell's offense is predicated on having kind of a combo H-back tight end that he wants to utilize. Also, all great offenses, when you think about, go to the NFL and you think about what Kansas City is, or you think about these teams that have excelled with the more modern offenses, like Mark Andrews in Baltimore is a huge deal with what they do in Lamar Jackson and that, Kansas City, obviously Philadelphia last year, you go on and on. These teams have elite tight ends that change the game. Obviously, Gronk in Tampa Bay and New England is a great example of what we're talking about. Just seems there's a signature tight end for all the great teams. Georgia's won back-to-back national titles. They've had the best tight ends in the country for a number of years now. Their backup tight end goes in the first round. I mean, it's insane. So I was ready for Florida State to get to that place. And now with Jaheim Bell, you think you have a chance to have one of the truly unique tight ends in the country. And you pair him with Biscuit or Kyle Morlock, and you really feel good. And I'm going to do something to surprise you here. Before I read that question there, you guys can read that at home. It's the poll question Tom was alluding to. I'm going to surprise you a little bit, Tom. I'm going to give a guy credit because of the couple of things he can do for you. Preston Daniel. Okay. I know people fall off their chairs here. I don't believe in an ideal situation Preston Daniel's playing a down for you at Florida State if you're where you're supposed to be in big-time college football at this position. However, Preston Daniel has put in a lot of work and is a serviceable blocker, serviceable receiver. There's a role for him, and he's put in the time, and he deserves credit. He's part of the rotation, and you do not slide backwards as far as maybe you have in previous years when he has to play. So I give him credit. From there, you go to the better tight ends in this room, and you get excited about what they've done by adding Kyle Morlock at a shorter university, comes in as a different body type than we thought he'd have, Tom, and that he's thicker. We already know about the 6'7" height. He looks comfortable at this level, athletically, had a real good spring. Jaheim Bell's a difference maker. I don't know how much he's going to come off the field this year, Tom. He can do a little bit of everything, and he looks like an NFL tight end. So those two guys alone change this room dramatically. If you go back to the returners, I already mentioned Biscuit, Marquiston Douglas. He's a great player. A very great, maybe I shouldn't throw that around, a very, very good player who's only getting better. So now all of a sudden, you're really talking about 5 tight ends that can help this team and have a positive impact on this team. In some cases, maybe even emerge as a plus group in big-time college football.
All right, a lot to unpack there. Number one, I'd say the role that Preston Daniel is going to play is wide open in goal line sets because you're not going to cover him first, second, third, fourth, or fifth. I mean, it's just you're going to worry about Jordan Travis fifth before you worry about the fifth target, and that would be Preston Daniel. So I think in those goal line sets, he's going to be wide open an awful lot. But I don't know that he's going to see the field a whole lot other than that when the offense is out there because of the influx of talent with Jaheim Bell, who is a combo tight end. Kyle Morlock is more an inline guy, also is a true receiver in the slot and outside. And then Marqueston Douglas, I think is actually going to be on the field an awful lot. Maybe when they do the snap count at the end of the year,
Yeah.
he might be number 2.
He's a good player, man. He's just a good player. You can say it. He's a good football player. Very good.
Well, exactly. And I just think in terms of specialties, yeah, Florida State has more specialists at this position. But if you're looking for a 3-down tight end, I think it's Marqueston and Jaheim are probably those 2 players. But the poll question that people can find on warchant.com and the message boards is, which of the following groupings are you most excited to see on the field at the same time? And so the options that were given were 2 guys at a time. So that could be Bell Morlock or Bell Marqueston, or Morlock and Biscuit, Marqueston Douglas. Or the 4th choice, sorry, Preston Daniel didn't make the cut, or Brian Courtney, Jarrell Powers, and so forth. What about those 3 guys on the field at the same time? So this is just about enjoyment. When you get these guys, you want to enjoy what they can do, and you want to enjoy the things that they can bring to the offense and the variety that they can bring to the offense. So I'll turn it to you, Mr. We don't have a tight end worth a damn for the last few years. What do you want to see out of this group? What grouping on the field at the same time excites you?
I think the twin 2 tight end sets. I think you're going to see a lot of that anyhow. I believe that will be almost a mainstay for this offense. I really do believe that. No, by the way, again, if they continue to add to this roster from a skill set standpoint, whether it be at receiver or whatever, my goodness gracious, you don't have to do much more. I mean, you got 2. If you end up with 2 very accomplished receivers on the outside, and now I've got 2 tight end sets that involve, and answer your question, Jaheim, Bell, and Biscuit. Mm-hmm. If I got those 2 on the field at the same time, along with these 2 receivers, let's say, obviously Johnny Wilson and perhaps another wide receiver addition. But even if it's Portier, I mean, I'm in a really good set of situations here. I've now got a lot of options, and I'm not necessarily giving away what we're doing on this particular play either in that set.
No, and also one thing you've got to consider about Jaheim is he can line up everywhere. It doesn't have to be on the end of the line that they're bookending the tackles. He could be in the backfield. You could give him the ball in the backfield. He did that at South Carolina. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You really don't know what's coming. That's one thing that Jimbo used to say this all the time, that he liked putting multiple tight ends on the field because it forces a defensive coordinator to choose, to reveal what he wants to do. Mm-hmm. Well, that's only half the problem if you're a defensive coordinator now, because of the versatility that Jaheim Bell brings to the table. We're not declaring that we've got a blocker on the field or that we've got a receiver on the field, because he could be a runner as well. It's fun to think about all the permutations they could put together. And while there are some guys that are projects down the line, typically with these position previews, I get to the latter part of the depth chart. But in this case, it's all about these top 3 players this year. And that's what the fun part is we haven't had more than 1 in a long, long time. And now you're talking about 3 legitimate players at this position.
Yeah, Morlock and Marqueston Douglas, Biscuit, Jaheim Bell. And then I would, in fairness to him, he's played really hard and he's played a ton and he's a redshirt junior. Preston Daniel, he's going to see the field. I think Brian Courtney should be a linebacker. And Jarrell Powers did not come along in the spring the way I had hoped. So we'll see what happens with him. The Anderson kid, I don't know. So, they don't. Basically, you're talking about 4. I think it's 4, right? It's Marqueston, it's Jaheim, it's Kyle Morlock, and it's Preston Daniel. And those are going to be your 4. Maybe Brian Courtney. He's athletic. He is undersized. Again, I think he should play linebacker. But, hey, that's, I'll beat that drum until it happens or it doesn't. And I'm rooting for all those guys. I'd love a loaded tight end room in the same way that we have a loaded running back room, a loaded offensive line room. It's getting fun to talk about these loaded segment groups.
It is. And it's not like Courtney's that small, though. I understand the way that he presents on the field, but he is 6'3", and he is around 230 pounds. It's
perfect just linebacker size, yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah, okay. You're never going to come off of that one, and that's fair. But it's nice that we're finally in a place where Florida State can start maybe churning these guys out and become, at least for maybe the next decade, tight end U, because it's not like it finishes here. You've got, if he follows through with his Reedy recommitment process, Landon Thomas, the 5-star tight end, is up next at Florida State.
How much fun is that going to be? And by the way, kiddos, Tom will reveal the answer to the poll question and what you guys voted. He'll be doing that for you. You'll get to, do they see it, Tom? Do they get to see the percentages?
You'll see the results. And then we have, because we love our members at warchant.com, a couple of top comments, people's thoughts on the exact question that we're weighing in on will be a part of the finish to this video.
You know, the other thing people could weigh in on is how good my bald head looks these days, if they wanted to. I mean, look how tan it is, Tom. I've been to the beach lately. You see, if you look the sides, I still got that. I shave it. I still shave it, but it just looks better than it ever has. And you wouldn't guess that as I age. You wouldn't guess that.
You look like a real Principal Strickland from Back to the Future.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens the next video. It could. I doubt it gets better than this, but it is very, very impressive. That was fun. That's it for the tight ends, right? And you see the thing there. Hit the like. Pound that like button, subscribe, get on board. What are you doing? It's $29.99 now through the end of August. Let's go. Yeah. That's like no money at all. You find that in your seat cushions.
And let's get right to it. The results from the warchant.com poll. Surprisingly enough, the #1 response was all three of the key tight ends on the field at the same time. Jaheim Bell, Kyle Morlock, and Marqueston Douglas. That's 41.5% of the vote. And not surprisingly, Jaheim Bell is a part of the top 3 answers, all of them. Our members on warchant.com want to see Jaheim Bell the most. I'm sure that's how you feel also out there on Warchant TV. Be sure to leave a comment underneath. As for the top comments on the Tribal Council on warchant.com, Flavin Noles says he wants to see all 3 together because that means we're showing a power running game pre-snap that is a real threat. Also, one of our top posters, FSU 91, says that he thinks Marqueston Douglas is still ahead of Kyle Morlock as a regular tight end due to his age and his experience in the offense. And finally, one of our other top posters in Grumpy BK says that he disagrees with the #1 answer on the board because using 3 tight ends at a time might be excessive given that Florida State has so much talent across the board offensively. Remember, everybody, to stop by warchant.com today and sign up now for the best coverage in the business. You'll be a part of the largest FSU fan site community in the world. That's what we provide for you at warchant.com. And before you leave this video, if you like this content, hit the like button below, subscribe to Warchant TV, absolutely free, and we'll keep you up to date on the latest in the transfer portal, the 2024 recruiting class, and get you set ahead of kickoff in Orlando between LSU and your Florida State Seminoles. Once again, this is Tom Lang for Warchant TV. We will talk to you on your ultimate Seminole sports source next time.